Happy Wednesday evening, everyone. Welcome to the D1Baseball weekend preview. It's Wednesday night because it's Easter week. We're playing tomorrow, games tomorrow, and, star-studded cast tonight. We've got the pride of America, Tom Hart, and we've got Aaron Fitt, who's got the show hair tonight, like Major League hair game tonight. Gentlemen, happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, Runes. How the heck are you?
Feels good. Feels good that we're playing like series tomorrow. Let's go. It's like Thursday, come a day early. I'm down for that.
I'm down with Fitt dressing as like the wild outdoorsman, and you're not quite sure if he's got a bloody axe in the trunk or like a box of encyclopedias he wants to sell you. Like, I'm down with the whole deal.
I trimmed down the beard because I'm going for the encyclopedia salesman look, less the axe murderer look. And I think that the grooming helps a little bit with that.
Why do we have to choose? Why can't we be an encyclopedia salesperson and an axe murderer at the same time?
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it.
Tommy, do you see the picture over my shoulder here? I did that in honor of you. That's Augie, 1979 Fullerton national title.
I love it. I love it. So I did the Longhorns Aggies last night.
I heard you. You were great.
A last-second pinch hit appearance for our buddy Dave Neal, who had some equipment malfunctions. But in the process, like usually, Runes, we'd spend so much time with these coaches on the phone, blah blah. I didn't know I was doing the game. I didn't talk with Pierce and the Texas guys at all. And I had A&M a few weeks ago, and there was an Augie story that came up. And Berkey didn't really want to tell it. He's like, I'm not sure if it's a story we can really tell on the air. And I was like, well, what is it? And I guess Pierce had just redecorated the coach's office at Austin. And he goes, well, there really wasn't. He said there really wasn't much in the office. I said, of course there wasn't. No, I went in there one time, and it was like one Longhorn painting on the back wall and a desk that was primarily empty. Like there was something he wanted to give me. We walk in, and Augie walks into his office like he's never been there before, like a realtor showing you a house. Like, I think this is a 3-2, and he opens up the drawers, and he's like, I think I put it here, son. And he fishes out a DVD of the TV show that he did. He's, oh yeah, this is what I want you. And I'm like, what? He's like, I'm never in here. You're like, well, what a baseball coach.
All my stuff's in the Newport condo. What are you in the office for?
Newport in the house.
It's so good. I love it.
Was there ever anybody as comfortable in their own skin as Augie was? He was the best.
That's a great point. I mean, it was true blue all the way. I mean, that guy just oozed swagger.
Seriously, they were like you. I get to coach against them a couple times, and you felt. And, again, Murph was a presence too, right? Like, he was fairly intimidating. But, I would not say this in front of Murph. I would deny it. But, like, you felt like you were down 2-0 with Augie. We in the 2000, we won the Pac-10 at the time. We had an awesome team. Brooks Conrad was on that team. We had such a blood and guts, incredible group of kids. And we had Texas down 2-0 in that regional. And Augie was like, You would have thought he was up 2-0 in the regional. Like, he was strutting around like we got him right where we want him. It was, in vintage Augie, they have the kind of dog and pony show the Thursday night before the regional, and nobody wants to be there. Everybody is anxious, and and Augie just says, yeah, we're actually not going to be there. He took his team to a Diamondbacks game Thursday night before the regional, and you're just like, okay, because you can.
Were you on the staff in 2009, Runes?
I was the baseball ops guy and doing the radio with the great Tim Healy.
So, of course, you remember the game where in Omaha, right, where your Sun Devils, if I'm not mistaken, were up, was it 6-0 with Mike Leake on the mound?
With 16-0 Mike Leake on the mound.
16-0 Mike Leake with like a 1-something ERA, low ones. And Augie, after they put up I think it was a 6 spot, Augie calls the team in the dugout and just rips them a new one. And of course, they come right out and like put up 7 or something, and then the bottom of the next frame. I mean, it's just like clockwork. It was just the ultimate illustration of his motivational prowess.
So good. Oh my gosh, he was.
Can I tell a quick one real quick?
Please, yes.
Okay, so we had a week's worth of Little League games in Waco, Texas, in the searing August heat, in a press box that had very little, if any, air conditioning. And I was doing it all week with Augie, amongst others. And the first day, the woman who was kind of our A2/stage manager, inside TV lingo, but she's not a gopher, right? She's a professional. And Augie, in the most polite way, calls her over and he says, "Hey, I've got a question." He goes, "Is everybody on this crew, we're all staying at the same hotel, right?" And she goes, "Yeah, same hotel." And he goes, "It's going to be a pretty long week, huh?" And she goes, "Yeah, probably so." He goes, "Can you do me a favor?" And he reaches in his wallet and he peels out a couple hundred. And he said, "I want you to take this and I want you to go to the liquor store and buy all the beer that the crew wants and get a cooler and fill it full of ice. And I just have 2 requests. I want the cooler to be iced down every night at the hotel. And I want to make sure we've got a full bottle of Tito's every night." And she's like, she looks at, the $400 he just peeled off, and she's like, I can make that happen. Yeah. So, I'm not telling tales out of school here. This is who he was, and this is who our crew, we had a great crew. And that first night, we stayed up until like 4 a.m. drinking. And we have 5 games a day, and it's like 110 degrees. And we have a production meeting at like 8 a.m. sharp. And you're talking about Augie walking with the swaggers. This is what I thought of. I'm like, I wake up at 7:58 in room like 220, and I've got to like pull on a ball cap and some shorts and hustle down to get to this meeting. I walk, I'm like running in 30 seconds late. Augie is in there in his leather loafers, perfectly shaven, fresh out of the shower, clean, with a cup of coffee. And he looks at me and goes, "Wasn't sure you're going to make it today, rookie." And it was like that every night in Waco. Every night. It was glory. It was the most fun week I think I've ever had in this business.
Oh, gosh.
It reminds me of trying to wait for Tommy to come downstairs for an 8 a.m. tea time over at Lakeshore in Omaha, and it's like this is gonna be hit or miss here. We'll see.
We're gonna be cutting it close. The rule to go by if you've got an early tea time is make sure that the guy that you like the least say, "Hey, you're riding with Berkey," because Berkey's gonna be the first one out, and then you can kind of straggle a little bit, and you can play catch up when "Hey, Berkey, did you get us checked in?" "Yeah, we're good." "Okay, good. We don't need to hit. Let's go."
Berkey's got to get there, get his glutes activated. He's got,
right.
He got stuff that's got to happen before we're ready to strike the golf ball. Oh,
so
that's
true.
Awesome. Hey, gentlemen, let's do this before we get to our series, the actual preview part. Tomorrow is opening day. Let's do some reflections on Major League Baseball opening day. I've got some thoughts, but Fitzy, you go first. When you think about Major League Baseball's opening day, what are some of your thoughts?
Wow. I can't believe that. I actually didn't even know that was tomorrow. That's how plugged in I am. You say tomorrow?
Tomorrow,
Come
right,
on,
Tommy? Is that right?
Tomorrow, Thursday. Yeah, you're all over it, Runes. We got Max Scherzer going against DeGrom. I mean, it's big.
Ooh. No, that's fun. They're going to be fans? Like, what's the fan? I don't even know what's going on in Major League Baseball. Are there going to be fans there?
Good question. Tommy, do you know?
Depending on the location. I think anywhere from 10 to like 50%. Obviously, like Arlington and Houston will be the leaders. We'll see what they do in the great state of Texas. But yeah, there will be more fans than we saw last year for sure.
Well, that's fun. I don't really have much to say about this, Runes, to be honest with you. I mean, baseball's great. More baseball is better than less baseball. I like college baseball personally.
Well, let me tee you up on something, Fitzy. Let me tee you up. I got some college baseball notes on opening day. This is really cool, and I'm going to have you fact check me here. So last year, Garrett Crochet basically went from college baseball to the big leagues, which was crazy because he was even hurt in college baseball and still pitched in the big leagues. So I just read something on Twitter that Andrew Vaughn not only is breaking camp with the White Sox, he's a starter. I think he's going to DH for them. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's the 2019 Golden Spikes winner?
I think that's right. Yeah.
How about that? Funny you bring that up, Runes, because I am myself and Kyle Peterson have the White Sox Mariners game Monday night. So,
no way.
Yeah, when on ESPN, it's television and everything. There's going to be cameras at the ballpark, from what I understand. So once Gonzaga gets up 28 on whoever they're playing, you can switch over at 10 o'clock Eastern. And so I'm just getting some prep work done for this game. And you don't have to be an MLB lover to love the White Sox, right? You mentioned Crochet. You mentioned Vaughn. How about Grandal and Zach Collins, 2 Miami guys behind the plate? Madrigal at second base. I mean, I'm just going through position by position. And I'm like, is there another team? Adam Eaton, Miami of Ohio, Vaughn, Cal. Like, is there Keuchel from Arkansas, Lance Lynn from Ole Miss? I mean, they're
Lance
boom, boom,
Lynn,
boom,
that's
Crochet, all the way down to and I think back to when Oregon State won it, and to me that was, I hope it wasn't the pinnacle, but that's when I think people really started noticing development to the big leagues doesn't start in single A anymore. It starts on Friday nights in major college baseball. It starts under the lights in front of 10,000 at LSU or 15,000 at Mississippi State. And I really felt that momentum going that year. Vaughn was there for Golden Spikes, I think it was, because he was a semifinalist twice. We hadn't had that since David Price. And you had Rutschman behind the plate. You had Madrigal. You had all these Oregon State studs, 3 first-rounders on that team. So, yeah, I'm with you, Runes. Like, I'm all in on opening day and opening weekend. I haven't been this excited about MLB in a long time.
Yeah. So Tommy, you said something on the broadcast last night, Texas versus A&M, that I thought was really interesting. And Fitzy, I want to get your take on this because I have an opinion. But you mentioned how the midweek games have been fairly wild this year, and there's been some really well-played games. There's been a ton of upsets. I mean, the midweek games, I would say, I guess let's just call fish a fish, right? They've been way more interesting and exciting than I think in years past, where you get a couple you get mostly snoozers, I guess. But your take was, hey, is this the shortened draft? Everybody getting a year back of eligibility. So, Fitzy, what is your take on that? Like, kind of what you've seen in midweek games and what you kind of forecast?
I do think it's a really good point. I mean, it does feel like everything has been more wild and unpredictable this year than usual, and I think that goes for weekends too. And we've talked about how unpredictable some of these conferences are. Like the ACC has just been kind of upside down for a lot of the year, where the teams that you typically would expect, and even heading into the season we expected to be at the bottom, have been up. And, the teams that were top 12, top 15 teams in the preseason have been down. I think that just kind of carries over into the midweek too. Now, why is a really good question, because I would kind of think that, the major conference teams would have had the advantage getting all this talent back through the draft, right? Like you would think, those guys would only be stronger. I mean, everybody's stronger, but the teams like Wake Forest getting back Seymour and Lanzilli, for instance, the guys that should be off in pro ball. I mean, there's a lot of stories like that, I feel like, in the power conferences, maybe even more so than in the mid-majors. And so I don't really get it. I mean, I just think it's one of those weird seasons where because maybe there's less developmental time over the past 12 months, there's less time for players, to get reps in the spring and in the summer. I just think all bets are off. It doesn't really make sense to me. I think it's kind of counterintuitive, but I don't know why. But I do think it's fascinating.
I think it's going to be fun. Go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah, the other element to that, and that was my first midweek game, so just kind of feeling out my theory on Berkey. And you know this about me, Runes. Like, I don't usually have facts to back it up. I just throw stuff against the wall and see what sticks.
Facts are such a nuisance.
Totally. So, hey, let's see if this thing has any traction. But, Aaron, when I started thinking about it was when I started seeing these Sunday scores roll in. And the realization that you got dudes throwing on Sundays instead of just, this dude throwing 84, you got guys, and you got guys coming out of the bullpen, and you got, Mississippi State fighting for, as one example, like fighting to get their guys on the mound. It's like, all right, midweek, everybody's going to get an inning, go out there and throw 96 because we got so many dudes on this roster. We got to get you a chance to play. So I don't think Sundays are those 4.5-hour games anymore. And it's probably small sample size. I don't know what your all's experience has been so far this year, but that's my guess.
I had a Sunday game that had 4 hits in it. I had Notre Dame and Duke. It was 2 hours and 20 minutes. It was a Sunday game. I thought I showed up for the wrong day. It was like, what the heck just happened?
Did you say Duke, too? Duke is not known for their brisk pace of play. No, that's upset city right there.
Yeah, the hitters had a lot to do with it. They might have been in the linebacker lounge on Saturday evening, or I don't know what was going on. But I tended not to hit as well the night after the linebacker myself. But we digress. Hey, so I'm going to tell you guys this. When I heard you say that, Tommy, it gave me this thought. There are 3 teams right now in college baseball. When I think about Ole Miss, I think about Arkansas, I think about Vandy. if those three teams do not make it to Omaha, I will be genuinely surprised as we sit here today. Like I'm having a tough time seeing, besides them having a big injury or something like that, like I feel like they are super elite teams, and different teams, but for different reasons. But anybody else, like the other 5 teams that would show up in Omaha, in my mind, there's nothing that would surprise me. If Fitzy's heard me say this, if Gonzaga showed up in Omaha, that wouldn't shock me. Southeastern Louisiana, I just, it feels like the baseball is going like this year. One weekend people are really sharp. The next weekend, I mean, look at Judd Fabian. Judd Fabian was 0 for 13 with 11 strikeouts last weekend. He'll probably have a weekend this year where he'll hit 4 or 5 home runs. The variances are outrageous right now. So, hey, I think it's going to be really fun. More fun for fans like us than for coaches and players, but fun for us for sure.
I think part of that, Runes, and I was talking with Tim Corbin kind of about something similar today. Like, I've had the luxury since the COVID, whatever, it's certainly not over, but since sports restarted, of covering everything from Korean baseball to major college football through basketball and now into baseball. And so I've learned more from all of these coaches, and it's fascinating to watch them all kind of go through the same process at different times. But some of these coaches still don't know their teams, and these teams don't know each other, right? I mean, It's not like you're hanging out in the clubhouse playing cards all day. You're split up even more so on road trips than you've ever been before. You're not hanging in each other's dorm room or apartment all night. You're not going to the linebacker lounge, even if you might have done that in years past.
And that's a crime.
It is a crime. So it's a challenge, I think, to kind of figure out who your guys are, even if they've been with you for 3 years. I mean, heck, to throw a college basketball comp out there, John Calipari didn't know who his starting point guard was until the week of the regular season, the final week of the regular season. It's just, everything's different, and there's so many more layers to it now to kind of figure out who's who and what's what.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's, everything's a small sample size this year. It's crazy. Somebody just asked what kind of wax I use for my dome. I had to give that a laugh emoji. That's well done. I see you working.
You didn't answer the question, Runes.
Yeah,
are you a Dapper Dan man?
No, come on. We're whatever lotion is available in the house. That's where we're going. This dome does not deserve high-priced amenities or stuff like that. Come on.
Can I backtrack a minute to something you said, Runes? You're right about those top 3 teams. I think we can all agree right now those feel like the top 3 teams. And I was on an Arkansas podcast today and kind of trying to break it down. And
humble brag.
Yeah. Look out. Hollywood Fitt, they call me. Listen, I mean, Vanderbilt with the lighter rocker thing, like if you're stacking them up versus Arkansas, obviously you give Vanderbilt a big check mark in the starting pitching. And Arkansas, I think you'd probably would have to give the check mark to offense and I would say bullpen too, personally. But both those teams are kind of strong in all 3 areas. But Ole Miss maybe is the blend because you've got Hoagland and Nikhazy as your 1-2 that's not that far off from lighter rocker at the college level. And then, you've also got firepower in the lineup. You've also got, defense. And I actually like their bullpen a lot too. So maybe they're the most balanced of all those teams. I don't know. But all 3 of those teams have a real argument. But I still think Florida and Mississippi State are going to be there in the end. We talked about this on the podcast this week. I'm not giving up on those teams after a bad weekend. I'm trying to keep myself grounded and remember the long game because it's so easy. Somebody gets swept and it's like, oh, that's it. Like, forget it. This team's a fraud. I mean, teams have warts, sure. They have things to figure out. I mean, Tommy, you talked about coaches still trying to figure out who their teams are. I mean, I remember talking to Sully after that Miami series, and he's like, yeah, I mean, like it's a 16-week season. Like we're going to have to try different combinations and like certain things we do need to get figured out. But I mean, there was no panic. I mean, he's like, he loved his roster as he should. They always go through some of that. They feel like they have some typical midweek losses every year to some of those solid programs in the state because Florida's, getting all of their guys work, trying to develop their arms and try to get the best guys in position. So when we get to June, who your guys are that you can count on. And if that costs you a couple of losses in March or February in the midweek, who gives a damn? I just think that's really good coaching, and I think more teams should do that. But But I still think Texas Tech, Mississippi State, and Florida. Those are the three teams I would still keep in that elite conversation, and maybe Louisville. But I need to see more from them.
Tommy, Fitzy is the sane one in the operation. Kendall and I are on a chat with Fitzy that we ought to just relabel overreaction theater, because me and Kendall are on and off bandwagons like it's our job. Fitzy just cool as ice. So there you go.
Thought I saw Kendall. Thought I saw Kendall in the bleachers last night in College Station, but maybe
about that?
I think he was one of the guys in the shirtless overalls. Could that have been?
Something like his look.
That's his Tuesday night outfit. Where are those bleachers, Tommy? Those are new, right?
Yeah, those are new. The place looks incredible. I mean, it's always looked great and been one of my favorite ballparks. But from what I understand, now once again, I just parachuted in on this game like literally an hour before it started. But so they took the berms down the right and left field line, and they put bleachers on top of those. And the goal was, let's get more spacing for the fans, some social distancing. And then they took a huge section of bleachers and put them out in right center field. It's got a really cool look. There was zero social distancing in those bleachers. It was all students, arm in arm, doing the swaying and the crazy, Texas A&M stuff they do. And then even more students, and I don't know what the pedestrian traffic is, because usually, from what I understand, you in the past could never go beyond, down the right or left field line. Well, now you can apparently go all the way behind the outfield wall, so they're piled up in the corner in front of the rec center. It was fantastic. I would love to see them keep the bleachers in right center. Maybe take the bleachers. I don't think they need all those seats. I mean, I've been there even for regionals and supers. They haven't sold every seat. I love berms. I love grass in ballparks, MLB, college, high school, whatever. And then keep the bleachers in right. That's an incredible place for a game.
I like it. Hey, gentlemen, before we run out of time, let's play the feud. So let's go over some series. We each picked 5 series. I might have picked more than 5, but I talk fast. I'm from the Northeast. So it'll be fine. So, Tommy, you're going to focus us on the SEC, where it just means
heard of
more.
It?
Yep, heard of it. As you coined it, it's the national network for college baseball. We like that. So let's just go around. We'll go one at a time, series that we're excited for. So, T. Hart, you kick us off. What's the first series top of mind for you?
Okay, well, I'm a homer, and I'm a self-promoter. They call me Barnum Bailey, but here's the deal. Ben McDonald and I will be, quote-unquote, in the building for Jack Leiter Friday night, 9 o'clock Eastern, and that game, by the way, has been bumped up to ESPN2. I mean, the Leiter mania is real, and we don't have a whole lot of games on E2 this year. It's primarily EU, SEC Network, ACC Network, so this is big. I had our Jeremy Mills, our fantastic research at ESPN, pull up some notes. We've talked ad nauseum about Leiter, and for good reason, right? But I was thinking as I was watching him, both against South Carolina and then on the app against Missouri, like, when's the last time I saw a dude this dominant? And with the tip of the cap to Casey Mize, like, to me, Mize went 1-1, but he was a dude that just filled the strike zone. And I think that, like, I'm thinking back, like, the Tigers saw him as a wise investment because he's a mature player and it's not a gamble, it's an investment, and he's going to be there for a while. He had to hustle to make the rotation this year. He had to have a really good start at the end of spring training. So I don't think of guys like Mize. I didn't see Garrett Cole much. I mean, I kind of saw him on TV, but I did see Strasburg live on a Friday night at San Diego State. And I know Strasburg's velo was, 97, 98 in college, if not a tick higher. But I had Jeremy pull some numbers. Strasburg goes 13-1 with a 1.32 ERA, and he averaged 16 strikeouts per 9 innings pitched. Jack Leiter is right behind him, 14.9 strikeouts per 9. There's nobody else in this category close. And let me just throw some names at you.
Bauer.
Bauer did not make the list. I don't know where the cutoff for the list was.
He threw a lot of innings. He had a lot of strikeouts, but it was a lot of innings. So maybe that would make sense.
That's probably a good point.
Okay, so this just as an example of who was on this list, Cole, Strasburg, Price, Hochaver, Brian Bullington, Matt Anderson of Rice, Chris Benson, Paul Wilson at Florida State, 94. Big Ben, Andy Bennis, Tim Belcher, Mike Moore, Floyd Bannister, 1976. Shout out to the Devils. I just see this incredible dominance, and the difference I think is Strasburg was this bundle of energy and like everything high intensity, and Leiter is just like, like the dude I'm just playing catch, and it's nice and easy, but I'm going to mow everybody down, and I can't wait to see him. Okay, so here's the background. I know I've gone too long on this one series already.
Good.
All right, so to me it's fascinating, right? You've got Rocker and Leiter. You've got the team that leads Division I in home runs in LSU, but talking with Maneri today, he's like, Tom, I didn't think we would have this kind of pop. The wind's going to be blowing in. It's going to be chilly. It's going to be down into the 40s by the end of the game. It's fair to expect a low-scoring game with those two guys, these first two nights with those two guys on the mound anyway, plus the weather. I think runs are going to be at a premium. Vanderbilt still has the best hitting team in the SEC. Fitzy, I know you mentioned the bullpen. You're not sure how they stack up among other elite bullpens in the SEC, and I get that. I think part of it is we haven't seen these guys. I think they're very talented back there. They just
not a lot of reps.
Not a lot of reps, not a lot of opportunities. So that's my number one series that I can't wait to see. An LSU team and a fan base that the fan base is made of Chicken Littles this time of year. If they're not undefeated, something's definitely wrong. And I'm not saying everything's puppies and rainbows down there. There's some issues they've got to get ironed out. But Paul Maneri's program always seems to operate with this strain and this competitive fire, and it's either you're with us or you're not, and we're better than this, and we're going to hit our stride at some point, and you'll either be on the bus or under it. I just don't know if they can find that stride and when it's going to come. It's going to be really, really hard to find it against those two dudes.
That's awesome. Gosh. Yeah, and Tom, whatever adjustment you made with Leiter a couple weeks ago when you had his game, I mean, he hasn't given up a hit since, so amateur pitching coach, well done. Fitzy, let's keep it rolling. What are you going to go with first?
Yeah, I'm going to lead off in the Big 12 runes. And there's a couple interesting series here. I think Texas Tech, Kansas State is pretty fascinating. Some of the pitching matchups there with Jordan Wicks. Kansas State did not get off to a good start in Stillwater. This is a big weekend. I mean, they're starting right out of the chute with the two heavy hitters here, Oklahoma State and Texas Tech. It's for a team that we kind of regarded as a regional contender, and a team that had gotten off to a pretty good start over the first month. They could find themselves in a big hole, but they got Texas Tech at home. Wouldn't shock me if K-State kind of, causes some trouble for the Red Raiders. But the Red Raiders have been on fire. Is that winning streak still going? No, they lost the game. That's right. They lost that one game in Stillwater, but that's it. I mean, that's the only game they lost.
16-1 in March. Is that right? Is that what the number was? Something like that?
That's pretty good. They're the real deal. Research. So, yeah, stats and research. So, yeah, I mean, that series is compelling to me. And TCU, Oklahoma also. I'm just going to give you a quick twofer in the Big 12. I really like the way TCU has come together. To me, it feels like that's the team that nobody's really talking that much about that still feels like I think it's an Omaha caliber club. And I know you and Kendall were saying in the podcast you kind of feel like maybe Oklahoma State you like more than TCU. I don't know. I mean, I feel pretty good about TCU's pitching, and what they did last week against Baylor was really loud for me. And now Oklahoma, again, it's another one of those teams that needs to get off the mat. They're in a little bit of a funk, and they lost 4 of the last 5 games. Lost series at Texas, but they were right in it on that Friday game. That could have gone either way. So we all felt like Oklahoma had been playing better over the last few weeks, and this is a big one for them too.
Yeah, Porter Brown's playing well for TCU. I loved him as a true freshman a couple years ago. He's like a more physical Rod Carew, I mean, Rod Carew's a Hall of Famer. I guess I'm saying upgraded Hall of Famer.
But if only Carew was more physical, he could have been Porter Brown. Just think.
That's what I'm trying to say, Fitzy. That's right. Right, excellent point. Thank you.
But I will say, I remember sitting, I think, with you in Arizona that first weekend in 2019. He was dynamic. I mean, it's a live athlete. He was fun to watch.
Yeah, really had a good a line drive approach, and so anyway, that's cool. All right, gentlemen, I'm going to go West Coast, Best Coast. Arizona is coming to the Valley of the Sun. Arizona at Arizona State. Everything about this rivalry is amazing. The pro sports teams in Arizona have only been here for 5 minutes. So Arizona and Arizona State are really like the embedded rivalry in this state. The scenery at the stadium will be an easy 80. They are serving alcohol, so you throw that element in there. The kids on the field, like there's kids from Tucson that play for ASU. There's kids from Phoenix that play for Arizona. Like when those two schools recruit against each other constantly. For kids in California, for kids in Washington, both teams are having really good years. Arizona's got this dynamic offense. ASU, this team's really gutsy. They've had so much adversity. Didn't get to play out last year's team. Three pitchers have gone down. So anyway, it'll be really fun. I'm hoping to go to 2 of the games. Phoenix Muni, now that they're, Packard was a special place, like, the Palestra in Philadelphia is a special place. It doesn't seat very many people, and you're basically sharing a bathroom stall with people, and but the atmosphere is amazing. Phoenix Muni's the opposite. This is like modern everything, but it will be jammed up. It'll be hot. I'm looking forward to. And by the way, gentlemen, they don't sell small beers at Phoenix Muni. It's just large for the beer patrons out there. So that will be a very fun series, and I think a very important series for postseason implications. I feel like Arizona's a postseason team for sure. My gut tells me Arizona State is, but these are the series that kind of decide that or not. So that will be a fun one.
Quick tangent, Runes. Since they, both those programs moved into their revamped minor league parks or spring training parks kind of at the same time, basically.
Yes.
Do you agree with me that their atmospheres are as good as any on the West Coast outside of Corvallis? I mean, it feels like every time I've been to a game at Tucson or even at Muni, I mean, it's fun. I mean, I really like going to those places.
No question. And High Corbett, Phoenix Muni is really awesome. It's just an unreal place to watch a baseball game. The weather's perfect. The scenery's amazing. It's a beautiful facility. High Corbett is an incredible facility, and again, it's the whole city of Tucson seems to come out for those games, including the students. And it feels like you feel like you're in the infield at the Preakness, and then a baseball game broke out. I mean, it is a legit, like, I remember going to some games on some Friday nights there, and I'm starting to get blurry, like, dang, I mean, no one's walking directly straight at this point. Like, people are competing when it comes to the concession. So anyway, yeah, I'm with you, Fitzy. They're really fun environments. And so hopefully one or both of them get to host in the near future. So, Tomas, coming back to you.
All right, so let's stay in the SEC. I don't know if this is going to be the best series of the weekend, but given what they've accomplished so far, Arkansas and Auburn, I think would be very interesting. Auburn, they can hit it. They're second in the league in average. My guy, Rankin Woley, can run into one and put it like over the pine trees. But Arkansas, they're second to last in the SEC in ERA. They've really struggled, obviously, in some places, and that's the first place I would look. I haven't seen them, quote unquote, in person. We don't leave the house these days, but I have had Arkansas, and I really like this team. I mean, Robert's back to Bob for you guys, right?
To Bob.
He's right back to Bob. Hit for the cycle midweek. First time that happened.
Call me Bob.
Call me Bob. That hadn't happened since '94, but he went back to Robert. If my numbers are accurate, he's still struggling in SEC play. He's like 3 for 22. Like you got to get that back going. That's a deep lineup. They got a lot of dudes who can run into the ball. But what impresses me the most is their defense up the middle. Franklin had that 2-homer game this past weekend. You got Battles and Bob up the middle, and you got a veteran behind the plate in Casey Opitz. And then the one guy that gets overlooked in this whole thing is Matt Goodhart. He had a 4-game home run streak, unless he ran into another one last night, which I'd be unaware of. And Caden Wallace hitting right behind him. I mean, like that's an excellent team, and they do a lot of things really well. Their bullpen's sick too. I mean, Saved by the Bell. They bring Zach Morris out of the pen. What's better than that? I mean, they got where's Slater? Let's go.
Jackson Wiggins is an alien. He's actually not a human. That's not. He could be a Division I. Like on National Signing Day, they weren't deciding what school he was going to go to. He was deciding which of 17 sports he wanted to have a scholarship in. He's a freakish athlete. So I'm with you.
And you know what? And you know what the thing about Wiggins? I don't know if I already talked about this in the podcast. I hope I didn't. I hope I'm not repeating myself. But we all know it's a big arm. but I was so impressed going into Duty Noble this past weekend. And, this is like probably the first time he's tasted anything like that. I don't know what the atmosphere has been like the first few weeks where he's been, but it was basically normal, in Starkville. Like those people, maybe they announced 6,000, but it was more than that.
Yeah.
Okay, like considerably more than that.
And
they were loud.
Friends.
Yeah, and he comes in and there's a couple guys on base, and like Mississippi State's, it was rocking, even on a Sunday afternoon. And I'm thinking, okay, freshman, like we know you got a big arm. Let's see how you handle this. And he's just like, yeah. It was cool as a cucumber, and it didn't even seem like he was that excited about it. It was just like, yeah, okay. Yeah. It's just very businesslike.
Fitzy, I think when I saw him on Sunday, I think I had the Sunday game. Yeah. He came in the ninth, 2-run game. And if I'm not mistaken, he went change up, first guy he faced.
Yeah, he's got feel for that pitch.
Yeah, right. and he can sit, he can paint it up 96, 97. So that impresses me. Like, I love Velo, don't get me wrong, but when you're a younger guy and you haven't pitched really in the SEC and you come in and you go change, like that's incredible confidence.
And that's what the Kostiu kid did too in that same game. I mean, he comes in and it's just like right change up back to back, double up on it, and it's like, what? What's going on here? You just don't see that very often. Matt Hobbs is a great pitching coach.
Yes, he is.
We've said it before, but wow. Yeah.
Yes, really good. Hey, Fitzy, coming back to you in 1 second. Tommy, if you ever I need you to take this evidence and file it away. If anybody ever questions my college baseball nerd card, I just want you to know, as my witness, I have watched Jackson Wiggins' high school basketball highlight tape. So I'm just going to put that out there.
What do you got? How do you look?
Yeah, fairly dominant. Like, not a lot of perspiring. Wasn't pressured very often. A lot of alley-oop dunks that were uncontested. It was pretty much eons better than every other human being on this court. It was almost non-impressive because he was so ridiculously better than everybody else.
I'd watch it. I mean, like what were the unis like in Roland, Oklahoma? Like what was the court like? What were the unis?
Yeah,
what do you got?
Well, I would tell you I can't answer that because the camera work was not great in Roland, Oklahoma. It was we weren't super zoomed in. We weren't super focused. It was. I appreciate the effort, but yeah.
Get better, Roland.
As our friend KP would say, #try harder.
If you ever find some old tapes from Oakmont Regional High School circa 1996, and Aaron Fitt is not only running the camera but trying to do play-by-play simultaneously, you would have been impressed, and these people from Oklahoma would have been ashamed if they had seen that tape.
Yes, that's right.
Wait, hold on. What do you mean if we ever find it? Like, send us those tapes. All right? There is a portal on D1Baseball.com. Yeah, there's plenty of room for video on the website. Like this, let's go. # miscellaneous.
Make it
Does your VCR still work, Tommy?
8-track.
I might find one. I might have one down here in the basement.
Betamax. Fitzy, all right, let's go. Get your next series out here. What do you got?
All right, I'm going to go ACC. Clemson and NC State is the series that I'm actually really intrigued by this week, and it's the one that I'm going to catch part of here on a cold Friday night. But this is kind of the bounce-back series. Two teams that I think a lot of folks had written off already, after the way they started the season. And NC State, of course, comes back and sweeps North Carolina. They got a 5-game winning streak all of a sudden. They beat Wilmington and Greensboro in a couple of nice midweek road games around that UNC series. All of a sudden, it feels like they're figuring it out. This was the team out of those 3 slow starters, Runes, that I probably believed in the most: Virginia, Wake Forest, and NC State. And that was a pretty one-sided series against North Carolina. But now you got Clemson coming in. They're 6-6 in the league. They're actually ahead of State in the standings, coming off a road sweep at Boston College, our early season darling. A bunch of key guys hurt in that series. And they just go out there and score a ton of runs, And it feels like both these teams are figuring it out. And I think it's going to be a fascinating weekend.
Yeah, the whole ACC's been fun so far because just right when you think you know something, you get dumber. It's every week. It's somebody lands a knockout punch and it gets crazier. Hey, Fitzy, let me stay in that league. Give me the Irish at Pittsburgh. Speaking of teams that. I think anybody with truth serum in them was saying Pittsburgh was the 14th team in the ACC. But we've come to find out is it's basically a league of 14 regional teams. And it's just going to be who can survive this thing. No, you guys have heard me go on and on about Link Jarrett and Notre Dame. And, I was confused when they hired him. Now I have drank the Kool-Aid. This guy Notre Dame is not as gifted physically as the rest of the league, but they play with such a high baseball IQ that they make it work. They have just enough pitching. They do not have pitching depth, but they're finding ways to make it just enough. So, again, Notre Dame and Pittsburgh, two teams that I feel like are legit regional teams right now, and I'm just curious to see what happens. I think those are two fun teams I've enjoyed watching. Tommy, back to you, buddy.
All right, I'm trying to dig in, and you guys probably have it in front of you. You mentioned Fabian, and so my next series is going to be Ole Miss at Florida. Unfortunately, it's not going to be like 85 and sunny in Gainesville this weekend. It's going to get down to the low 40s at night. But I thought it was a great opportunity for Florida to kind of, hey, get some sunshine, get back on track, celebrate the ballpark, which is gorgeous. I got Fabian at 250 right now with 8 home runs, and he's struck out 40 times in 23 games. That's a guy he's got to be able to go for them. He's got to be able to play. He's got to put bat on ball, number one. How many strikeouts did they have in the extra innings in South Carolina? 16, 18, 27, 348?
Infinite. I thought it was 8 sideways was what the number I saw.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes' ERA at Texas Tech, infinity, right?
I want Fabian to embrace his inner Evan Scoug. Don't even worry about the punch-outs anymore. Go 90 punch-outs with 18 jacks, 70-plus RBIs. It's all good. It's too late. You want the eye black going all the way down to the ear flaps? I'm okay with that. Yeah.
I'm down with it, too. So I'm – Fitzy was talking about Florida, how there's kind of this quiet calmness to where they're going to end up. Here are some of the warts that I see with this team. They're still dead last in the conference in fielding. That's not a typical Kevin O'Sullivan team, which at its best has 3.5 shortstops on the infield and another one in center field and another one in left.
Yeah, shocking.
It is shocking.
Kind of missing that element, right? Oh, by the way, Runes, I know you picked up on this. Jonathan India breaking camp with the Reds. He's going to be at second base.
Super
that dude led the nation in fielding with another great team. And Florida had great fielding teams the last couple of years.
They always have, whether it's India or Dalton Guthrie or Nolan Fontana or they always have a rock solid shortstop, and it feels like Rivera hasn't been that. I think that's the biggest problem right now with the defense. He's got to year. He was really good, and he's talented.
Crazy.
He has all the ability. You watch him; he moves right, and the arm work. He just struggled.
Yeah, and he's sub 200 at the plate right now. But I think when you talk about what's missing, whether it be the position players or the pitchers, and don't get me wrong, those first two guys are dudes. The bullpen has been a hot mess. It was a dumpster fire in that South Carolina series. We talked earlier about coaches not really knowing their teams yet, and especially now we're still early in conference play. And I know it sounds silly. Folks at home are like, "What do you mean they don't know their team?" We're 25 games in this, whatever we are. It's not the same. They don't have the same interpersonal relationships that they've had in years past. They're not able to push guys like they were. I just think it's a challenge. But I digress. Florida, to me, what they're missing, Fitzy, is they're missing that type A dude. That guy who says, I know what it's like. F this, F that. We're going to Omaha. This is my year, and I will drag your butts with me if I have to. And usually they have 3 or 4 of those guys.
Yeah, they have a bushel of them.
Yeah, and if you have to go look for that guy, or you have to, push the donkey in the Kentucky Derby, you're not winning the race, right? Mm-hmm. You want to, what do they call it? You want to put the thing on them where you can pull the reins back instead of having to push them along. So,
Kentucky Derby references in this show.
Sport of Kings. Come on now. That's how you learn math is read the racing form.
100%.
Yes. I see you guys spinning. Hopefully I'm not losing my connection. That's a good one. Fitzy, if I can get you back in here, you go next. Are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you're good. You guys are all good.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
No, I was just going to piggyback on what Tom said because that's a really important point about the way they struggled to finish the game. Not to talk too much about Florida, but they're a fascinating team. They're the preseason number one. They have struggled to finish the game, and the buzz this week from the scouts was that they were planning to go with openers this week and use Mason Leftwich out of the bullpen, which I haven't seen that confirmed or reported anywhere. I don't know if that's actually happening, but it sounds like it's happening. And if that's the case, what do we think about this?
Yeah, Nick Delatorre, that's their guy. They're he always has good.
Fantastic beat guy.
Yeah. He put that on Twitter.
Okay.
I don't know what to think of it. And is it Franco Aleman? Is he's going to pitch. He's starting game one, and he's been a guy. He has not pitched with great confidence. So
right.
Hey, in Sully we trust, right? Like at the end of the day, Sully, this guy is 8-1 in super regionals, which is not possible, but he is. And so, hey, if he sees it, I'm going to trust it. But at first blush, it does not feel comfortable for me.
Fitzy, this is fascinating. It's first I've heard about the openers. Obviously, they're trying to get something working and find some mojo, right? And picking if you can go all in on what would be their Friday night, Thursday night, and get that win, and then let chips fall where they may. It seems like they're kind of at that point in the season. But when I hear openers in college baseball, especially at a program like Florida, Singer, Kowar, all the way down, right? What I hear is the same thing that I hear from major league pitchers who don't want anything to do with opening, which is no, dude, I get paid for X, Y, and Z, and I can't accumulate X, Y, and Z if I'm coming in the fourth and going to the sixth. Sully's success has been twofold. It's been, and this is incredible balance that he's pulled off. It's been both for the name on the front of the jersey and the back. And not every program can pull this off, but he can, because he can say, I'm going to get you to where you want to go. And if we win as a team, then you would have helped get us there. And we can have guys that pitch, once a weekend out of the bullpen that get first-round money, right? I mean, they had a dude that came out of nowhere in Hoover 4 years ago throwing 98. Anyway.
Dane Dunning, was it?
Yeah. Dane Dunning was the Tuesday guy. He's a big leaguer. Oh.
Oops. He's with the Sox. Or at least he was at the end of last year. So anyway, I guess my point is that takes an incredible leader to say, this is what we're doing, because that program is built on recruiting and getting guys to the next level, because that's different, right? I mean, that's totally different than what we've seen before in this game.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, I mean, the Gators are fascinating, if nothing else, right now.
Oh, by the way, I just want to throw this out there. Fitzy mentioned, this is preseason number one, right? It wasn't we got them 1, they got them 4, those guys over there have them 8, don't know what. Everybody had them number 1.
Yes.
Consensus, there were no questions, there was no fighting, Teddy Ballgame sitting over in Durham going, yeah, that's right, you guys nailed it. What? No, everybody obviously was off. Everybody. That hadn't happened since GameStop.
So look at we got a Kentucky Derby reference, we got GameStop. I mean, come on now.
That's fantastic. That's good work right there.
Yes. Hey, boys, we've got 9 minutes left, so let's go into our 30-second offense. So we'll keep whipping around. Fitzy, you go next.
Runes, I was going to talk about USD and Pepperdine, but it sounds like there's a COVID cancellation there.
Brutal.
But from what I can tell on the excellent D1Baseball scoreboard, the Toreros are instead playing Fullerton and Bakersfield in something going on there. Anyway, San Diego and Fullerton is an interesting matchup. The Titans, kind of like Clemson, kind of like MC State, perhaps their demise had been greatly exaggerated. They did split that 4-game series with Santa Barbara 2 weeks ago, and they took 3 out of 4 from Riverside. Is that one of those teams that we think is figuring it out? Good test against San Diego, a team that's, I believe, 17-4 right now. Really can score runs in a hurry, kind of a contrast in styles there. So 18-4 now for the Toreros. They've had a great season.
Yep, I like it. I see Coach Eklund on the chat, by the way. Bob Moore, ball player. I see you working. Hey, I'm going to throw two at you guys. Wichita State at Houston. Eric Wedge has really put there's life and intensity in that Wichita State program right now. And the American's very interesting because East Carolina's kind of run away, and then you're going to have a bunch of teams that are going to have to get some traction going. There's a lot of 500 teams in that league. So I'm really curious about that one because I know both of those teams have talent, but they've had uneven starts. The other one I'm going to give you guys, and then I'm going to go to you, Tommy. Indiana at Ohio State. Ohio State's 8-7 in the Big Ten. Their talent says that they're better than that. Indiana, Michigan, and Nebraska have really been the class of the league so far. So if you're Ohio State and you want to be a regional team, you're hosting Indiana this weekend. This is a really important series for you. We got a long way to go, but there's so many opportunities where you can take down a marquee opponent. And so I'm really curious to see what Ohio State can get done against Indiana there. Tomas, what are you going to go with next?
Quickly, the last two in the SEC, Kentucky's at Mississippi State. Kentucky tied for the lead in the division in the East, 5-1 on the year. They put the hay in the barn. They got to continue to do it. I'm big in Lexington. I don't know if you guys knew that. I've got my picture up in not one but two steakhouses there. Big fan of everything they got going on in Lex.
As you should.
Mississippi State looks really good. We've talked about them. We've covered them. That's a top 10 team. That place is going to be rocking once again. And then A&M at Missouri. That was a huge win for the Aggies last night against Texas. Mikey Honer is now homered against the Longhorns in consecutive seasons. He told us a great story post-game. They had Will Johnson in there giving him the rah-rah speech before the game. And he said he told him a story about, back in the olden days when you'd go to battle and the ships you'd get your ship on shore as you invade the other country and you burn the ship, right? There's no going back. We are burning the ships. And once he told us that story and that was shared with them, it gave some insight to all the intensity that they had in that game. Rob Childress was intense. The horns down all over the place. I think we got a horns down and a ball thrown into the Texas dugout after the A&M win. Yeah, that's
a new touch.
We had a scout, Kyle Peterson, rewind the tape. I didn't see it happen live, but what a great rivalry, by the way. Let's get that thing going 3 games a year instead of just a random Tuesday night. Let's go.
I like that.
I'm all about some chippiness and some questionable sportsmanship, if you will, because people get all fired up anytime. Like I was at that Arkansas Mississippi State series, and Arkansas sent out that tweet with my Bob Moore photo where he's like, and they basically made fun of Mississippi State claiming to have the best ballpark, and the fans got so upset about it, and I'm here for the entertainment, man. Give me the popcorn, let's get chippy.
Yeah, Tommy, you didn't know that Fitzy is a weaponized photographer in his spare time. He takes photos, and next thing you know, fan bases are fighting on the intraweb.
Just stop taking photos, man. You think about we would achieve world peace if you would just put your iPhone down for 1 second.
Gasoline on the fire. All right, Fitzy, you're up next. What are you going with?
Quick back to the ACC here. North Carolina, Florida State, 2 teams looking to rebound. This is in Tallahassee. Tar Heels, we mentioned, got swept by NC State and then had a really bad loss midweek to East Carolina, a game that they had and then blew late. That was we'll see how they rebound from that. How about Duke, Miami? Again, I mean, there's teams that have just been up and down in this league. Duke needs a series win that they can hang their hats on right now. They're 5-7 in the league. They lost series to Georgia Tech. Notre Dame the last 2 weeks. They do have right now that series win over Pitt. That's really all they got going for them. And at Coastal Carolina the first weekend. But, it's a long grind in the ACC, 36 conference games, 2 more weekends than usual. Everyone's going to have ups and downs, but that's a big series, I think, for the Dukies.
I like it. All right, I'm going to go super rapid fire. So Southern Miss at UTSA. UTSA's having a really nice year. They gave LSU everything they wanted. Conference USA is coming hunting for bids. They are not going to be a one-bid league this year, and teams that are wobbling, Conference USA is coming for your bids. So Southern Miss at UTSA, I think, is very interesting. McNeese State, mispronounced that, McNeese State, is going to Southeastern Louisiana, who's leading the Southland. McNeese was the preseason favorite. That's a very interesting series to me. This is the most interesting one of the weekend. The North Dakota State Bison are 16-6 right now. They're going to play my Omaha Mavericks in the Summit.
New ballpark in Omaha. My boy Trev Albert's got it done. Yeah.
Beautiful. And, the Summit League's had a heck of a year. Oral Roberts wins a series at LSU. Western Illinois, who did not win a game in 2020, they took down Louisville in a midweek. So the Summit is rising. See what I did there, Fitzy?
That's good.
That's impressive.
Right. Thank you. That's all that Fitzy's coaching of me as a writer.
You keep that up, you're going to get your picture hanging up in various steakhouses in the state of Kentucky.
There's no room in Lexington. Those steakhouses are spoken for.
I've got the walls covered.
Yeah, that's right. All right, one more. Troy at South Alabama. They're both in the state of Alabama. They're both in the Sun Belt. That seems like that's going to be a really fun series. Those are two good programs. Tommy, do you have any another series, parting words? What do you got?
No, I'm tapped out. In honor of MLB opening day, just keep an eye out for your favorite college players and your favorite college announcers working games. KP also has a late game tomorrow night with Dan Shulman. I forget which one it is, but 10 o'clock on ESPN. So he's all over the airwaves. And next time we're talking about it, I'll tell you the story about how Chipper Jones lectured both me and Eric O'Flaherty at the same time about when and how to properly hit a batter when you need to deliver retribution, the right and wrong way to do it. It happened at the West End Bar after a Cubs-Braves game in which Alfonso Soriano hit the walk-off. And it's just a baseball lesson I'm willing to share someday.
I look forward to that
over the next podcast.
Next time we're either doing that on this IG Live next time, Tommy, or at the Hilton Bar in Omaha, or both.
You know what?
That story.
Somebody just peel off a wad of hundreds, make sure that cooler's filled up, and we'll get Tommy going with the story time. I can't wait.
Yes, right. In honor of Augie. So awesome. Gentlemen, it was a pleasure. We believe, Tommy, in winning every podcast, win every IG Live, win everything. And as we like to say, victory is ours. So well done, gentlemen. Have an excellent weekend. Happy opening day. And yes, beautiful. Well done, people.
Tip of my bucket hat to you, Runes. Fitzy, great seeing you again. I look forward to see you, if not at the ballpark, then at a golf course near you.
Always a pleasure, Thomas.
All right, boys. Good night. See ya.
See ya.